Thank you. Any discussion from the board on 620 Hudson House? Alrighty then. Now we will move on to discuss the 708 State Street project from the Galvin Foundation, along with the 75 North 7th Street project from the Galvin Foundation. Mr. Tucker?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We could ask people to go on mute so we can see if we can get off the feedback. Thank you. As you know, this project submitted, the Galvin Foundation has submitted 2 applications, one as indicated by the chair, and we've asked Dan Kent to come and update us. He's joined by Dan Hubble from Whiteman, Osterman, and Hanna, his counsel. And we would like have Dan give us an update on the project as it relates to the planning board, as it relates to seeker, and as it relates to their ongoing thoughts about the project, so that the board can make some discuss and establish a process to finalize the review of these projects in the months ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. So yeah, I'd like to give an update on where we are with the planning board, and also announce some exciting developments, some improvements we've made to 708 State, stemming from conversations with Chair Tiffany Garriga and Vice Chair Rebecca Wolf. So if I may, I've got just a couple of PowerPoint slides. Is it okay if I share my screen? All right, I see a thumbs up from Tiffany. It says host disabled participant share screening. So if someone could adjust the permissions there.
Lisa? There you go.
Okay, so this is Lisa's screen now. Let me check to see if I still don't have permission.
When you click on share screen, you'll see Dan Kent, and you can click on him so he can share the screen, Lisa.
Well, I'm perfectly happy to give a verbal update if there's technical difficulties. Oh, now I see it. Perfect. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so here's the cover slide. So here are the changes we've made. We got some, we got some feedback on the market rate units, and we really wanted to clarify our intent for this project. The idea behind this project is not to create luxury housing, it's to create mixed income housing with a range from very low to moderate to middle income at 75 North 7th Street, and then moderate and middle income at 708 State Street. So we wanted to make that more concrete, so that the IDA has the commitments to know, what these affordabilities are going to look like throughout the period of the pilot agreement. So what we're pleased to commit to tonight or today is that 20% of the units will be affordable at 80% of the area median income. That is, what HUD defines as low income and what the state generally calls moderate income. The remaining 80% of the units will be capped at 130% of AMI. The starting rents that we're projecting based on the market study that we obtained in the past is closer to 100% of AMI. But what this commitment does is it says, no matter what happens in the housing market in the city of Hudson, the rents at this project will never exceed the top of HCR's middle income threshold. So in effect, now 100% of the units are moderate to middle income housing, what some people refer to as workforce housing. In addition, we wanted to clarify our commitment to this project. We're going to give a priority to people who are from Hudson, and we're going to give a priority to people who are trying to stay and afford living in Hudson. So we want to prioritize applicants who are renting this space as their sole residence. So that means if we've got 5 housing applicants and 4 of them have, an apartment in New York City and they just want a weekend apartment in Hudson, and we get 1 applicant who is a person who is just looking to live full-time in Hudson, the apartment will go to that 1 family. So between those 2 commitments, I think this really strengthens the contribution that 708 State makes to the housing needs and the housing goals that were identified in Hudson's Strategic Housing Action Plan. So we're pleased to make these changes, and I wanted to extend our thanks to Tiffany and Rebecca for the valuable input which led to these changes. So next, just to give you a quick update, so we're still in front of the planning board. I think we've, I can't speak for the planning board, but I think we've been making good progress. The most recent update is that they hired a traffic and parking engineer to evaluate the parking and transportation planning elements of the project. And we're expecting to see the results of that study any day now. And we're looking forward to addressing any feedback ahead of the planning board meeting that is next week. I also wanted to put this in context with the funding deadlines that are coming down the pike. So we're expecting that New York State Homes and Community Renewal, HCR, is going to release their funding application, which is the funding sources we're looking at for 75 North 7th, in May, so this month. Generally, the deadline for submitting an application is 6 to 8 weeks from the release of the application. And in order for us to submit anything for review, in order for us to make the baseline threshold requirement for a project submission, we need to be able to submit a pilot agreement. So of course, that's our goal. I know that, in order for the IDA to finalize anything, you need the seeker review from the planning board to be completed. Even a letter of intent or a letter indicating that, an approval would be contingent upon the completion of seeker should be enough to satisfy the HCR requirements. So we wanted to make sure that everyone's aware of that timeline. If we don't have everything in order by that deadline, we would be looking at waiting to submit for the next round, which will likely have a deadline in January. At least that's what it was last year. So I just wanted to let you all know where we are in our process, and also some of the kind of external constraints that we want to make sure everyone is clued in on. So that's all I have for you today. I welcome any questions or discussion.
Well, we have a hand raised by Rebecca Wolf.
Hi, thanks. So Dan, I wondered if you could share the information that you shared with me about the actual rents, in the 2 proposed projects, based on what we talked about, because I think it's really important. Just we've talked a little bit about the disparity between the city of Hudson's area median income, which is according to census data, is 70% of the county's area median income, and and I've been, doing my research on the process of the affordable housing funding, cake that is built. And I do understand that the county's numbers are what developers need to use. I also am, just wanting to have it be very transparent to the public and anybody listening and, everyone deliberating about what the rents actually will be based on county area median. Because I think that that's a significant, numbers for people to have in mind. So.
Yeah, gladly. I can walk through what the rents would look like at 80% of the county AMI for those 20% of units that we're setting aside. And you're absolutely right. I mean, for not just state funding purposes, but also, the city's strategic housing action plan. It's the county AMI as the framework that we're using. And, our goal is to look at that AMI and provide a wide range of affordability levels between the two projects. And, that's really how we got to have so many units at 40% of AMI over at 75 North 7th. It was from our conversations with Mayor Johnson regarding the exact disparity that you're noting. So I think it is an important thing for us all to be aware of. And I just wanted to note that the totality of the mixed income model between the two sites uses the Columbia County AMI as the reference point. But as far as the rents are concerned, the net rent for a 1-bedroom at 80% of county AMI would be $1,120. A 2-bedroom would be $1,360, and a 3-bedroom would be $1,560. So that's what you'd be looking at for the 80% of AMI units. For the market rent, the other 80% of the units right now, we're projecting that the starting rent, based on a market study that we obtained, it's not numbers we came up with, it's pulled directly from that information. We'd be looking at a rent for a 1-bedroom of $1,350, a 2-bedroom $1,525, and for a 3-bedroom $1,725. And those are all below 100% of the county area median income.
And you're saying that there will be a cap.
Yep, and the cap is 130% of AMI, which is the top of what New York State Homes and Community Renewal defines as middle income. Mm-hmm. And for middle income, that cap, if it were in today's numbers, it would be $1,866 for a 1-bed, $2,250 for a 2-bedroom, and $2,600 for a 3-bedroom.
And then the units the proposed rents that are in your proposal for 75 North 5th are still holding at what they are in the proposal.
Yeah, we haven't made any changes to that, and our sense from feedback is that people are happy with that income mix.
And what's the rent for those?
Those, let me, I only have the ones for 708 State in front of me, but I'll be happy to circulate that after the meeting.
I'll look for it while you're talking. I can pull it up.
Anyone from the board has a question before we move to any public comments? Looks like we have a comment from the public.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Being that there were no comments from the board members, I did have a question.
Yes.
At this point, I have spoken with Chris Shale, our counsel, and in terms of our next steps, we had discussed holding a special meeting, if the board is amenable to that, 2 weeks from today, to review and consider the approval of a notice of public hearing. That would give the developer time to review its application one more time. And if there were any modifications, amendments, or changes, we could be sure that what we were presenting to the public for comment was the most recent application before us. In addition, we have identified a financial consultant, BJH Advisors in New York City, and the partner assigned to review these two projects from an economic fiscal analysis for the city IDA is the former executive director of the New York City IDA. And we she is in the process of sending us a scope of work that we would review with the agency and begin the process of evaluating the developer's proposal and the Camoin fiscal analysis that was presented. We had identified a consultant through the City of Albany IDA, but the scope of work that they proposed and the fee structure that they proposed was way beyond the scope of this project. It anticipated doing market analysis, which the developer has already done, and it frankly, we're looking at a fee of approximately $3,500 to $5,000 per project, which is consistent with what the IDA paid when we had a consultant review the 620 Union Street Hotel project. And the plan would be that we would move forward with that analysis, and as soon as that was completed, and we could schedule the public hearing and issue the deviation notices. Is that a fair assessment of what we discussed, Chris?
It looks like she said yes, but she's on mute.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair. Yes, that's correct. And I think because the board will need to set the public hearing and should take into account the final version of the application with the changes that are being proposed today in making its decision.
We will have this special meeting right after the public hearing.
So what I would expect is that we'd prepare a resolution, you could adopt the resolution, consider the resolution and adopt it to set the public hearing. And then you have to give the deviation notices to the other agencies, the county, the city and the school district, so that they could come to the public hearing and comment along with the public. So we would be looking for a date for a public hearing, presumably sometime in June. And then you may be able to take an action at that point if we have seeker determination by then. We'll have to decide where we are at that point.
When will we know when we can make that determination? Because I feel that after the public hearing, we should move forward with a vote on the resolution.
Right, but because that's an action that requires a determination for seeker purposes, we can't give final approval to a financing assistance agreement unless we've completed seeker. So the planning board as lead agency, we need to have them conclude their proceedings, and then we can, proceed at that point with our final approval. If that's where we are.
Okay.
That would be the process. Michael, do you need the board to authorize you to engage this consultant today with the understanding that the expense, with the understanding that the expense is an expense of the developer pursuant to the requirements in the application forms?
I think in the past I have had that administrative authority, but if the board would like to formally authorize that, Madam Chair, you could entertain a resolution.
A motion would be fine.
May I have a motion from the board to seek this information that we need?
I'll make that motion. It's Heather.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
I'll second it, Rebecca.
And Madam Chair, we will review that with the members of the board and the developer so that the scope of work is appropriate to the project. And since they have to pay for it, we get to decide what's in there, but we would like their input as to what they may already have in terms of studies and reports so that we don't duplicate effort and cause undue expense.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, anyone opposed? Thank you.
The final matter would be to instruct us to provide notice for a public, a meeting of the IDA on Monday, May 18th at 1 p.m.
I did
Follow
have,
those.
sorry.
We need to move forward as Michael just suggested with May 18th. That would be for the public hearing schedule.
No, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, that would be for a special meeting to schedule.
Excuse me.
Yeah,
Sorry,
sorry.
for the special meeting on May 18th. Just everyone would be available for that? I'm assuming yes, good. Rebecca, you have your hand up?
Well, I just had a couple other questions. I'm not sure if this is, I mean, this is sort of our final time where we're asking any questions about the proposal, is that right? Or like before we go into public hearing?
Actually, you would get information. You'd authorize the public hearing 2 weeks from now. It would be scheduled. You would listen to any comments that the public or others presented, including the taxing jurisdictions, possibly. Then you would come back and have discussion before you made a decision. So, you know, this is not a final step in any way. This is a procedural step to move forward.
Okay.
Correct, Mike, but Madam Chair, if I could just explain for purposes of answering that question as well.
Yes, please.
So the way that the public hearing resolution will be structured is that we'd be calling a hearing to hear about and providing deviation notices to the other agencies about the application that's presented. And so that would include the application that was originally filed plus any addenda that are provided by the developer. And presumably Dan will submit an addendum reflecting the proposal that he made today to modify the application. So it's appropriate to ask questions, for the board to ask questions today about that, you know, what is the application going to include, to be clear about what's being presented. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Dan, were you able to retrieve that information so we and the public could know like what would be the least amount of rent for the 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms?
Oh, yes, yeah, let me find it now. I was gonna send it to you following the meeting, but.
I have it right here if you want me to.
Oh, you've got it? Oh, thank
Yep.
you.
So there's 3 tiers of income, you know, there's low income, middle income, and market. So in the lowest tier, there's 9 units that are 1 bedroom at $533, 9 units that are 1 bedroom at $686, 7 units that are 2 bedroom at $640, 7 units that are 2 bedroom at $823, 1 3-bedroom unit at $740, 1 3-bedroom unit at $951. Then in the upper or middle tier, there's 10 1-bedroom units at $1,140, 7 2-bedroom units at $1,370, 3 3-bedroom units at $1,580, and then I guess the 84 units at the top end are 48 1-bedroom units at $1,375, 27 2-bedroom units at $1,535, and 10 3-bedroom units at $1,725.
And just to update, that's all, yeah, that's all right from the application. And so now with this change, we'd be looking at 32 units at the moderate income level and 72 units at the middle income level.
So Rebecca, since you have it in front of you, what's the least amount and how many for the 3 bedrooms?
So there's one 3-bedroom unit at 740. One 3-bedroom unit at 951.
Hang on,
And just as a
Rebecca,
reminder, that's
yeah, hang on. Rebecca, are you going off of what we provided you in our letter of April 5th?
I'm reading from the proposal.
Oh,
You're reading from the application?
yeah. So
Yeah,
since the application, we
yeah. There was
changed.
There's
So-
amendment. Yeah, so I have the amendment up in front of me, which, and I can circulate this amendment.
Well, let's do it right now, though. Like,
One second, Rebecca.
Yeah, hang on a second. If I send this to, hey, Dan, Dan, do you mind circulating this to everybody? I'm gonna hit send to you.
Sure.
And while you're circulating it, Dan, could you
Just put it right on the screen.
read those numbers? And can you start off with the least amount of rent and how many bedrooms? This is a lot of 1 bedrooms. I think that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, Dan, if it's on the second page of the letter, you'll see the table that we provided to the IDA.
Okay.
And maybe you share your screen with that.
Yeah, pulling that up now.
Because the rents, in fact, have actually gone down and we've got in more 3 bedrooms.
There it is.
great.
That's what I thought.
Right.
All right, just sharing my screen now.
So you're saying that what you're sharing is a total, I guess what I'm looking for is like a total breakdown of all at the current proposal.
What he's sharing is the updated version, so to speak, and he's sending us this information as well in our emails.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so-
here's our amendment letter, and this breaks down the changes we made to the income distribution following input from the IDA board. We changed the number of 3-bedroom units that are affordable, as you'll see here, instead of having 1 3-bedroom at 40% of AMI and 1 3-bedroom at 50% of AMI. We now have 3 3-bedrooms at those 2 income levels. The 3-bedroom at 40% of AMI starts at a rent of $804 per month and 50% at just over $1,000.
And so what we will do is in regard to the 708 State Street project is we'll provide a similar letter amendment to our application that will provide. And in that, I'll put in both the table you're looking at now, as well as a table of income breakdown for 708 State. So it'll be all in one location for you.
Great. I did have another just question to bring up about 2 related things that I just want to make sure we are all thinking about.
Is everyone all set on this? Should I bring this down, or are these questions about the income distribution?
Nope, I have other.
Okay, I will stop sharing.
So I noticed in the application that it looks like there's meant to be 1 superintendent for both buildings. Is that accurate?
Yes.
I was just concerned about that. It seems like it's a lot of housing for one superintendent to manage. And it doesn't really seem adequate.
So our staffing levels correspond with the underwriting standards that are generally referenced by the state and the staffing patterns that are expected for a total unit count of this number. So we would have a live-in super who would be supporting both buildings, and then we would also have specific handyman staff dedicated to each building as well. So that's how you get to the 1.5 per building is one dedicated handyman, and then the super split between the two.
I mean, does anybody else have an opinion about that? 154 units, one superintendent? Like I grew up in a building that's 25 units and we had a full-time superintendent. It was not a high income, it was a rent controlled building.
Now, isn't the superintendent living in the building?
Yes, yeah. So the superintendent will be living on site and will be responsible for both buildings. And there will also be a handyman individually responsible for each building.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the board?
Will you also have a rental agent, Dan?
We will have Galvin Asset Management, our nonprofit property management company, will be providing leasing support for the buildings, but there won't be an on-site leasing office or anything.
And also just to let Ms. Wolf know and others that in the building of Bliss Towers, with so many apartments and in and outside, there's only one super. So it is possible. They do have that as other places. I don't want to get into a debate about it, but it's happening right here already. We can do this. We do have questions from the public, but I would like to give a chance to other board members if they have any other questions. They didn't have the opportunity to speak at the last meeting or send an email. We have Mr. John Kane with his hand up for a while.
Thank you, Tiffany. Dan, I just had actually a couple of questions about the AMI calculation you were using. That was based off of the American Community Survey. What was the date of that? What was the date of the numbers that you're using?
No, it's not based off of it's based off of the HUD AMI numbers. I think
those are based
the original ones from the application I would expect were the 2020. The 2021 numbers were just released and they're very close.
But you don't know.
Sorry?
You don't know. Because the county AMI would have shifted pretty significantly in 2020 with a lot of, I would say, high income earners moving up from the city, right?
It actually went down, surprisingly.
It went down. That is very surprising.
Yeah.
Interesting. But that AMI is going to be based on the county numbers.
Yeah, which is the standard that New York State Homes and Community Renewal, the city strategic housing action plan, they're all in reference to the HUD Columbia County AMI numbers. And I'd be happy to share a link. If you just Google HUD AMI, you can very easily look up the numbers.
I appreciate that because I would like to see the calculation on that. Is there a mechanism, and I guess my question is for members of the IDA, is there a mechanism or is there a way to break out census tracts to just figure out what the Hudson AMI is?
The Hudson AMI is 70% of county AMI.
It is, and that's pretty consistent?
That's what it's reported in the census data.
Okay. Could you forward that link to me as well, Rebecca?
Sure.
Thank you.
Some of the data is skewed because even with the expansive second home purchases, the owners may well be counted for census purposes at their principal residence.
Right, right. I mean, there's certainly a lot of, Columbia County certainly has some interesting challenges in the last couple of years when you're finding those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is there anyone else from the public that has any questions? Okay. Or do we need a motion to adjourn then if there aren't any more questions?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. May I have a second, please?
I'll second it. John.
Thank you, Mr. Cody. And with that being said, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned at 1:39 p.m. and see you all at the May 18th for the special meeting.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.